The war in Ukraine creating a massive humanitarian crisis, and it's only getting worse by the day. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Poland, nearby the Ukrainian border. I'll have the latest on that story coming up.
As the war in Ukraine continues to change every day, it's having an impact on how history classes are taught right here at home. I'm Chris Warner with that story.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Grand River Dam Authority police are investigating a drowning on Grand Lake tonight. Authorities say it happened at Twin Bridges State Park. Say a man was backing up a truck with a trailer down the boat ramp when the truck went into the water and sank. The driver did not get out of the truck. Police are still searching the scene. Russian troop advances taking a toll on Ukraine and its people. More than 1 million fleeing their homeland in what the UN Refugee Agency is calling Europe's swiftest refugee exodus this century. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is outside a refugee donation center in Poland, the first stop for many crossing the border.
More than 1 million Ukrainians have been forced to make the difficult decision to leave their homes. More than half of them have ended up here in Poland.
We haven't seen displacement of this magnitude in Europe since the mid-90s.
A flood of evacuees pouring into neighboring countries, people rushing to safety as Russia continues its relentless campaign, intensifying attacks on civilian targets, leaving more than 220 civilians dead, 15 of them children, according to the United Nations Human Rights Council.
I must emphasize that the real figures will be far higher.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's soldiers stormed the Black Sea port city of Kherson, capturing the first major city of the invasion. The strategically important port city, Odessa, bracing for conflict as several Russian warships position themselves for an amphibious assault. Russian forces continue their blitz on Kharkiv. Ukraine's capital spared for now. The 40-mile-long convoy outside of Kiev is stalled. Ukraine and Russia resuming peace talks. Despite this, Moscow is charging on.
We are ready to keep talks going, but we will continue our military operation because we can't afford to retain the infrastructure in Ukraine that threatens the security of the Russian Federation.
The Biden administration is asking Congress for $10 billion to aid Ukraine, some of that money earmarked for the growing humanitarian crisis. In Przemysl, Poland, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
And as the war in Ukraine continues, it's having an impact right here at home. As KOM's Chris Warner explains, that impact isn't just economic, it's having an impact in the classroom.
Doug Logan is a social studies teacher for Carl Junction High School. He teaches a current world affairs class, and the past couple of weeks has been shaping his lesson plans and his students.
For them right now, it's happening in real time, in their lifetime. They're watching it literally unfold by the hour. And they know they could very possibly have a vested interest in this, and they want to know what's happening.
He says the war in Ukraine's economic impact is a great way to bring it home.
It's very useful to use a situation like this to help them understand how instability in a part of the world, clear on the other side of the globe, actually has economic ramifications that reach right down here to southwest Missouri on a daily basis.
Cord Ritter is a senior at Carl Junction. Most of his high school career has been shaped by once-in-a-lifetime events, like the pandemic. He's also got a friend in Moscow who he's been in touch with as things have unfolded.
They haven't been as fortunate as we are. You know, our country for the last 100 years, we haven't had invasion and, economic collapse to the degree that they have, and, their whole livelihood kind of falling apart.
Ritter says his history course is more important now than it ever has been.
Like, we've learned why Russia thought that Ukraine might belong to them, and why Crimea was mostly the starting factor a long time ago in all this.
While the future remains uncertain for the course of the war, Ritter knows it's going to shape him for the rest of his life.
I'm not even sure what to make of it right now, and I'd say it's more of a lesson than anything that I'll definitely be looking back on in the future.
Through everything, he's learned one important lesson that he feels everyone needs to remember.
Just try and see them as humans, because that happens a lot in wartime. We use things to demonize the other side and make them easier to hate.
In Carl Junction, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Logan says it's encouraging to see his students using examples from history to compare to the current situation in Ukraine. Doug Katie joining us now. First look at the forecast. I'm trying so hard not to get used to this beautiful 70-degree weather, Doug.
You're going to have to try a little bit harder because it's not going to be here for much longer. We've been very fortunate all week long. We've had great temperatures. Again today, 78, pushing 80 in spots. Started out at 41, advertised 55, so well above the mark. The record on this date is 81 degrees. Clear skies right now. We are going to start to get some clouds in here, already increasing out across central Kansas, down through parts of Oklahoma. But temperature is about 55 to 60. We'll drop back to about 48-ish or so later on tonight. Thunderstorms for the weekend. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
Thanks so much. Joplin's north side is getting an update underground. The city of Joplin's more than 530 miles of underground water pipe is being replaced throughout the city. Right now, though, Missouri American Water is focused on North Joplin, replacing pipes that are reaching the end of their useful life.
It's not uncommon to have pipe in the ground from the 50s. The useful life of water pipe is quite lengthy, but sometimes there are things that contribute to breaks, such as ground shift, other utilities hitting the pipe. So what we do is we just look at areas where we see a higher frequency of breaks and try to target those areas for pipe replacement projects.
While the work is going on typically during the week between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., customers might experience temporary water service interruptions, discolored water, and lower than normal water pressure. Weather permitting, work should be complete by early spring. City of Joplin gave residents a chance tonight to learn about proposed changes to the city's zoning code. Hasn't been updated since 2004, and officials say that's just too long.
Exciting for me, coming out into the city, working with a code that was 18 years old. It's nice to have some of that cutting edge planning material that we can use in the city, and that is supported by a number of citizens and that we've heard from over the past few years.
Residents are going to get another chance to hear about the proposed changes on March 28th, and then the council will consider the new zoning codes on first reading in April. A lot of area teens today got a peek into their potential futures. Today's career fair at Joplin's Franklin Technology Center was open to about 1,600 students of FTC and Joplin High School. More than 70 representatives from colleges, universities, career and technical schools, branches of the military, local businesses, and industries were there. Students got to visit with professionals, learn about what's required for their field of interest, and practice some of the fundamentals of job searching.
Oh, we go through a series of things, but they do resume writing, they've filled out applications in the past, and just learn how to talk to employers and ask the questions they need to ask. We do that on a daily basis.
Franklin Technical School Career Fair is an annual event, by the way. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Stephen Mangan served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 45. Native of Pittsburgh, Mangan won several awards, including a Purple Heart. We are proud to thank and salute Master Sergeant Stephen Mangan. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug Heddy's next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, the Missouri Southern women aiming to move on to the MIAA tournament semifinals. Going to have highlights and reaction in sports.
Well, it turned out to be another great day for us today. Upper 70s to near 80 for most of us. Our northern counties not quite as warm. It was still great. Upper 60s to near 70 as we had a front just kind of draped right through the region for most of the day. And our front is still really, you can see the wind shift line. You got an easterly wind, then you got a south wind. So that front right along the I-44 corridor and then very close to that Kansas, Oklahoma state line. So you got 50s to the north, you got 60s to the south. Most of us will drop off 48 to about 50 a little bit later on tonight. But with the front hanging out, the winds have been fairly light. As this front lifts north later on tonight, those southerly winds start to pick back up and it gets pretty windy by the time we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. 60 right now, easterly winds at about 5, humidity at 42%, but we do have pretty much clear skies. A few little mid and upper level clouds starting to increase in our western counties. This is the trend. As we go through the overnight hours for us tonight, clouds will start to increase next storm system out across really parts of California. It's that system that will start to head toward us as we go through about the next 48 hours. Let's step through time. Cloudy skies tonight, or at least mostly cloudy. These are thin, mid, and upper level clouds. So we will get some sunshine through them during the daytime hours tomorrow. I still think we're going to warm up quite a bit. I think most of us will go well into the 70s. 48 start, 68 by noon, high temp 73, south winds kind of breezy at about 10 to 20 at times. Tomorrow night, still a lot of clouds sticking around. I expect us to be dry. And then as we go into Saturday, late morning into the early afternoon, we'll start to get some scattered showers, maybe a few embedded little thunderstorms within this little batch. I'm not anticipating anything strong or severe. And then sunshine pops back out late in the afternoon. However, Saturday evening, here comes the front. See a line of thunderstorms trying to pop up. So here's 8 p.m., 9, 10, 11. These storms start to drop south. Again, most likely these won't be severe. They could be a little bit stronger, some gusty winds, maybe some small hail. That wave is out. Second wave rolls in by the time Sunday rolls around, especially late Sunday, as all this moisture lifts back toward the north. Showers, thunderstorms again. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. But I do think any severe weather stays mainly to our south, which is good news. As the colder air filters in behind it, by early Monday, we could get a little band of snow that rotates through. So we're going to see some pretty big changes as we go through the next several days. Also, rainfall amounts, a lot of areas pick up 1, maybe upwards to 2 inches of rain out of this next storm system rolling in. 73 tomorrow, 70 on Saturday. Cooler Sunday, 57, dropping into the 30s by Monday. So we are going to see a pretty big switch.
I'm going to be like a 3-year-old. No, I don't want to give up the 70-degree days.
70s are great.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
yeah. All right, we'll see you a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. Hey, this week is birthday celebration week for Barbie. It's also when the Museum of Creativity in Fort Scott, Kansas is reopening its Barbie display area. The grand opening is tomorrow and Saturday, but a few people tonight's got to have just a special time. Birthday parties for mother-daughter teams, and those teams could make their own Barbie dress, then do a full fashion show and photo shoot with their doll.
And so as I progressed and started collecting Barbie houses and Barbie dolls from thrift stores and had to decorate and create them, then it became a collection that would no longer fit in my house.
Again, the official grand reopening of the Barbie display at the Fort Scott Museum of Creativity is tomorrow and Saturday. Coming up, questions about the future of the new federal COVID strategy.
The White House announcing a new strategy to fight COVID, but it's unclear whether Congress is willing to pay for it. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up. Fox.
More mandates are being lifted as COVID cases decline, but health officials warn we're not out of the woods yet, and keeping up with vaccinations is still the best way to stop the spread. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Federal health officials now agree we've entered the endemic stage of the COVID outbreak, and that's prompting a big change in strategy as case numbers fall. We're now averaging just over 58,000 new infections per day. We haven't seen numbers that low since July. And the White House is launching a new program called Test to Treat, focusing on providing Americans free testing and treatment all in one stop.
Today, we have the tools we need to protect each other and treat COVID-19.
In addition to vaccines, the CDC says there have been about 140 million coronavirus infections in the U.S., around 42% of the population. Some doctors say that provides a significant amount of natural immunity, but others are warning we're not out of the woods yet, claiming vaccines and masks are essential to avoiding another surge.
We've had different waves of COVID emerge with different variants, and that often had to do with, us relaxing our guard a little bit.
Meanwhile, Congress remains at odds over how to fund the new strategy. The White House is asking for about $22 billion, but most Republicans say they're not convinced any new COVID spending is needed, drawing sharp criticism from Democrats.
Either we act now to secure the progress we have made, or we risk backsliding.
The feds are also in the process of deciding whether mask mandates for public transportation need to stay in place. They're currently set to expire after March 18. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Still ahead, going to hear about the increasing need for blood donations and how new research could lift restrictions for some possible blood donors.
A Ukrainian art teacher shares
an import warehouse.
According to the American Red Cross, every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. These blood donations are vital to be used for victims of traumatic accidents, as well as those undergoing organ transplants, cancer treatments, childbirth, and more. With March marking Red Cross Month, officials at the nonprofit say they're in desperate need of more donors, with COVID-19 crippling the nation's blood supply. But federal restrictions on gay and bisexual men are preventing many people who could give blood from doing so. Fox News' Gary Baumgarten has more on the new study, hoping to put an end to what gay rights advocates call discriminative practices.
Without the blood they need, hospitals may be forced to make tough decisions about patient care.
A national blood shortage crisis continues plaguing the American Red Cross. The nonprofit organization is responsible for providing 40% of the country's blood supply.
We have, in some instances, less than a day's supply of blood on hand.
But not everyone who wants to give blood can. Previously, the United States completely banned gay, bisexual, and queer men from donating over fears that they could spread HIV. The FDA has since reduced the total ban to a 3-month window in which men in those groups must abstain from having intercourse with other men before giving blood. But now a nationwide program called the Advanced Study is looking into possibly ending this restriction, opening the door for even more potential donors through a new series of questions and blood tests.
We're testing questions that are related to the potential risk of recent HIV acquisition. So these are questions like the number of sexual partners, types of sex, unprotected sex.
The research is expected to last until July, when the data will be given to the FDA for its consideration.
The study will be able to help the FDA determine if an individual risk-based approach could be adopted to select individuals, obviously based on their answers.
LGBTQ advocates say this move is key to helping end homophobia and the stigma surrounding their community. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Up next, going to learn just how much someone was willing to spend to fork over to get their hands on this rare Pokemon card.
Service.
Trading Pokemon cards is one thing, right? Shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's on a whole other level. This near mint condition vintage gaming card was sold for $900,000. Look at that. The Pocket Monsters Japanese promo illustrator holographic Pikachu card was created back in 1998, was only released in Japan. There were more than 30 other offers, but an unknown bidder won out in the end, shattering the former record and making it the highest priced Pokemon card ever sold. Now, normally about this time I would say something funny or try to be funny. You know, I know my definition of humor is, but I don't know too much about Pokemon. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anything about Pokemon. So, you know, $900,000 is a lot of money. We'll just leave it there. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Thanks to an Oklahoma law that was passed last year, patrons of restaurants can take their drinks to go in a pre-sealed container. Well, a new bill aims to add on to that law, allowing people to take their drinks in the original container it comes in. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with a local restaurant's experience with the to-go drinks and how they think this new bill could impact them and their customers.
Russian oligarchs are losing power and money as the invasion of Ukraine continues. In London, I'm Alex Hogan with more on that story coming up.
Over $950,000.
14. Well, last year, a law passed allowing Oklahomans to take alcoholic drinks to go. A new bill aims to add on to that, allowing the drinks to be taken in their original container. KAON's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with workers at a Grove restaurant who say this bill could really help amid supply chain issues.
Last year, Oklahoma lawmakers passed a bill allowing for to-go cocktails in the Sooner State. Jason Evans, general manager of Mulligan's in Grove, says they've seen great success having people use the service.
It's been pretty good. Obviously, it's different coming in and dining and having a few drinks versus taking one home. But yeah, we do. There's at least an order a day that we'll do some cocktails to go.
But Evans says they haven't been immune to supply chain issues. At the time of our interview, Mulligan's was out of the containers needed for patrons to be allowed to take drinks home with them.
Especially when this first started, the containers were highly available, and obviously through the pandemic and supply issues, it's really hard to get stuff consistently. So sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't.
Well, a new bill in the Oklahoma House could fix that. House Bill 3732 would add on to last year's to-go cocktails law, but change the definition of the container the drink could be taken in. Right now, Oklahomans can take their drinks to go in a pre-sealed container. If this bill passes, they'll be able to take their drinks as is.
I think it would be huge for us on the operation side because, you don't have that extra container that you have to worry about getting, inventorying, storage, this and that. It takes out a step that makes it faster for the guests, that makes it better for the guests, overall experience getting it to go.
Plus, they already have customers take advantage of to-go drinks daily. If this passes, it could enhance their experience. In Grove, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The bill has yet to be heard in a committee. Liberty Utilities and Quails Forever teamed up to teach kids a lesson about nature. Officials taught students at Joplin's George Washington Carver Elementary about pollinators like bees and butterflies. Pollinators are important, of course, because they help plants reproduce. Students also had the chance to make seed bowls to attract pollinators and make their own outdoor pollinator garden.
But we really want them to take home today a better understanding of pollinators, a better understanding of habitat, and have a greater appreciation for that. Know how they can impact that habitat in good ways and bad ways.
A neat idea. According to the USDA, though, 3/4 of the world's flowering plants and about 35% of the world's food crops depend on animal pollinators to reproduce. Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce today announced the nominees for this year's Golden Apple Awards. Officials recognized the 64 nominees at a reception in East Middle School. The awards are designed to recognize local educators who go above and beyond to prepare and educate the next generation.
This has been one of the best events to be part of, just because you get to see those students truly appreciate their teachers. You get to read the letters that the kids write, that the parents write, and say just the most amazing things about the students.
This is the 37th year of the Golden Apple Awards program. Freeman Health System today celebrated the work of Dr. Seuss with a special reading featuring none other than Cat in the Hat. Freeman doctors and CEO Paula Baker read the books to a group of kids in the audience.
Dr. Seuss writes amazing books, and they have such a rhythm and such just a fascination for all ages. And many of us grew up with Dr. Seuss books and read them to our children. So it's so much fun to be back here today doing that.
This week is Read Across America Week, which coincides with Dr. Seuss's birthday, which was yesterday. Facebook joining the wave of companies working to clamp down on the proliferation of Russian state media. The social media giant says it's going to demote all of that type of material on its platforms, including posts that contain links to Russian-controlled state media. The company has already blocked access to RT and Sputnik within the European Union. The move comes following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, of course. And Russian oligarchs are facing a growing number of sanctions. Many are now racing to move assets. They're literally racing to get ahead of the game as countries try to seize luxury yachts and homes. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more on this story.
Russia's wealthiest business leaders are scrambling to save their private yachts as countries begin tracking down these vessels. This week, Russian-owned super yachts have been spotted heading to the Maldives, Seychelles, and Montenegro to avoid capture. The exodus comes as the Biden administration announces a new federal task force designed to track down these luxury assets. The White House is also planning additional sanctions, including prohibiting oligarchs from traveling to the U.S.
We're adding dozens of names to the list, including one of Russia's wealthiest billionaires, and I'm banning travel to America by more than 50 Russian oligarchs, their families, and their close associates.
In France, authorities say they seized a yacht belonging to Igor Sechin. He's considered a close friend of Russian President Vladimir Putin. In Germany, authorities reportedly seized billionaire Alisher Usmanov's $600 million vessel. While here in the UK, billionaire Roman Abramovich announced plans to sell the Chelsea Football Club. He owns one of the world's largest yachts and reportedly has close ties to Putin, which he denies. UK officials have vowed to sanction Russian oligarchs. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says legal threats will not stop these sanctions from happening.
We'll continue to work through our list. We will continue to sanction oligarchs, and there is nowhere for any of Putin's cronies to hide.
A yacht linked to Vladimir Putin is believed to currently be in Russian waters. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
A bit later, some fun education.
So here's a question for you. Ever wonder what life will be like in the future? Well, you're not alone. A lot of people wonder about that. I'm Kevin Cork, and I've got a look at a brand new museum transporting visitors all the way to the year 2071. That's coming right up.
On Fox.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another great day for us today. Temperatures fantastic, upper 70s for a good chunk of us, especially central and southern counties. Northern counties mainly hung out near 70 as we had a front that was just kind of right through the region, so it separated our temperatures by about 10 degrees, but everybody was great. Still that front, you can see that wind shift line right through the region, so southern counties, you're in the 50s. Northern counties a little bit lower, still lower 50s, but not bad tonight. We're going to drop back 48 to about 50 degrees. We have these light kind of easterly winds kicking in. Outside, 7th and range line looks pretty good, sitting at 60. Easterly winds at about 3. Humidity is checking in at about 42%. And we don't have a lot going on here. We do have some clouds which are starting to increase on the Kansas and also the Oklahoma side. We are going to get a lot of clouds working in for us tonight and then into the daytime hours tomorrow. The beginnings of our next storm system brewing out across parts of California into Nevada as well. So let's go through time. Let's go through the overnight hours tonight. Clouds increase across the region. Mostly cloudy skies. We are going to stay dry. Mostly cloudy skies for us tomorrow, but still temps look pretty good. We'll start at 48, 68 by noon, high temp of 73. A little breezy. Southerly winds at about 10 to 20 as we go into the afternoon hours. Tomorrow night, still a lot of clouds. We could even get a few showers popping up by Saturday morning. These are going to be hit and miss scattered showers, maybe a random thunderstorm. I'm not anticipating anything too strong or severe. I think any severe thunderstorms will mainly stay to our north as we go into Saturday afternoon. Then we clear out late in the day, but here comes our cold front. So here's Saturday evening. Cold front dives in. We get a line of showers and thunderstorms. These could be a little stronger. Still not anticipating severe, but they could be a little bit on the stronger side. Some gusty winds, some small hail. These will push through. Now we're done with wave number 1. Wave number 2 will start to roll in, especially late in the day on Sunday. Showers, thunderstorms increase again. Right along, really right through the entire 4-state area. I think on Sunday, any severe weather stays to our south across parts of Arkansas, but we could get some pretty good rainfall amounts. Sunday night into Monday morning, the colder air continues to filter in, and we could end the system with a little batch of snow. It doesn't look like it would be accumulating to a whole bunch, but we could get some minor accumulations from that as it works through on Monday. So something we'll keep our eyes on. 73 tomorrow, 70 on Saturday, 57 on Sunday, dropping into the 30s on Monday and staying quite a bit cooler for us next week.
Soon it'll be more consistent, right?
Yeah, by summer.
Okay.
It'll just be hot.
Yeah, be patient.
Yeah.
Right? Be patient. All right, Doug, thank you. Hey, today's the first Thursday of March, which means the First Thursday Art Walk is back in Joplin. Tonight's event kicked off the 15th year of the Art Walk and was themed after Mardi Gras. Local artists and musicians opened venues and booths for people to come out and check out their work.
It makes you a little nervous. To talk about your art is fun to do. Maybe you can get let people kind of have an idea of what you were inspired by, why you painted it, how you painted it, what little secrets you have. That's fun to tell people about.
The Art Walk is a monthly event, and as you might have guessed, it takes place on the first Thursday of every month through October. And again, talk about the weather for that. Beautiful today. Coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern women hitting the floor in Kansas City in the MIAA tournament quarterfinals, plus Crowder baseball aiming for their 5th straight win against Fort Scott. Jay Blenner has those highlights and more next.
A chance to win.
Today is day 2 of the MIAA postseason conference tournament in Kansas City. On the women's side, the Lions are on the floor for the first time today, facing the Washburn Ichabods. The Lions, the #1 seed in the bracket, and enter the day on a 15-game winning streak. MIAA Player of the Year Lacey Stokes straight to the rim. 8-0 run for the Lions to begin the game. They're up 3 at halftime. Southern gets an 18-2 run in the third. Amaya Johns knocks down the 3. Then Brooke Stauffer, one of her 2 threes on the day. The lead is 8 going to the 4th. Now early 4th, Maddie Stokes turns and scores. She gets a double-double with 12 points and 12 boards. Lacey Stokes, corner 3, 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists for Stokes. Just a 3-point game, though, with less than a minute remaining. Lane Skiles, that's the dagger for Southern. Lions win and move on to the semifinals, 62-54.
Extremely proud of our kids, especially on the defensive end. Once again, we've done a great job over the last 2 months defensively guarding people, taking them out of what they wanted to do, and then last couple games we've just done enough offensively to finish games, and we made big shots when we needed to.
We know, when stuff starts looking rough that everyone's going to step up. We're not dragging people along to try and get them, to keep your head up. Everybody's head's up. We're all picking up each other, Brooke and Lane are 2, and Amaya, they're, veterans, and they really have done a good job of keeping our heads up, regardless when stuff is looking a little downhill.
Well, tonight is semifinal night at the Class 4 District 12 Boys Tournament in Seneca. Tournament host Indians are on the floor tonight facing Big 8 rival Lamar. Seneca fresh off an upset win over 3rd-seeded Aurora, trying to knock off the 2 seed tonight. But Lamar not having it. Tigers win tonight 58-29. Earlier in the night, 2 more Big 8 teams squaring off. It's Mount Vernon facing top-seeded East Newton. Look at this. This was an all-timer here. In double overtime, East Newton wins at 56-49. So it'll be East Newton and Lamar for the district title tomorrow night. Crowder College baseball is on a 4-game winning streak. The Rough Riders are 10-4 to start the season and are ranked 9th in the country. Now, Crowder tries to stay hot today at home against Fort Scott Community College. Crowder up 1-0, bases loaded for Peyton Holt. Ball's gone. Grand slam for Holt. Rough Riders take a 5-run lead. Another big inning in the 4th for Crowder. Gavin Glasgow gets things going. Big hit all the way to the wall. That scores a run. Then Tyler Favretto goes the other way here. Shallow hit to right. That brings Glasgow home. We're sticking around in the same inning now. Bases loaded again, and again it's Holt. This is a bases clearing double. Crowder rolls by Fort Scott today 15-1. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
The future may not be so distant after all. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has an inside look at the new groundbreaking experience, giving people a taste of what life could be like in the year 2071.
It's one of the closest things to traveling in time. The new Museum of the Future in Dubai is transporting visitors half a century away to the year 2071. The 7-story museum lets folks experience life on board high-tech spaceships, where experts predict scientists will be studying how to harness renewable energy from the moon.
It's a very agile and living museum.
Visitors can also venture through the Library of Life, where instead of books, officials say people will have access to thousands of DNA samples from plant and animal species, offering clues on how to mend ecosystems ravaged by decades of climate change.
Our hope is that visitors will leave feeling happy, hopeful for a positive future, and realizing that there are many positive solutions.
But even though the future is expected to be high-tech, officials also believe that life 50 years from now will be heavily centered on disconnecting from our gadgets, with the museum even boasting a meditation spa.
Humans are the most important element in our past and our present, and will remain the most important factor for our future. So we must focus on the health and mental health of humans.
Officials say they can only predict what the future will have in store for us all, adding that the museum will actually be constantly evolving, hosting panels with leading scientists and engineers to help humanity shape the future we all desire. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Coming up this weekend's new releases at the movie theaters and at-home streaming. Superheroes, scares, thrillers, all part of this week's new releases. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Fear is a tool.
Audiences can follow the bat signal to a gritty new Gotham this week with Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Zoe Kravitz is Selena Kyle before Catwoman, and Jeffrey Wright is James Gordon teaming up with the Bat to solve murders puzzling their city.
I've been trying to reach you.
As for those villains, Paul Dano plays the Riddler, and an unrecognizable Colin Farrell brings us Oz, aka Penguin.
Come on, Yang.
Farrell is also in the sci-fi drama After Yang, about a family asking big life questions after their AI helper breaks down.
Tell me something you don't want me to know.
On Hulu, Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones take audiences from modern dating romance to twisted horror thriller in Fresh.
Lucille Ball.
The Amy Poehler-directed documentary Lucy and Desi about Hollywood's famous funny couple is on Prime Video.
2 weekends away.
Netflix adds the thriller The Weekend Away with Leighton Meester as a woman racing to put clues together after her best friend disappears on a trip to Croatia.
You have to leave.
Plus, the streamer has the Toni Collette-led series Pieces of Her, about a daughter uncovering her mom's dangerous secret family past.
Pat seeing ghosts.
And Starz introduces the horror comedy series Shining Vale, with Courtney Cox and Greg Kinnear playing a couple in a haunting new house in the suburbs, where Mira Sorvino makes her mysterious appearances and Judith Light joins as a guest star. God, why? Shining Vale moves in with back-to-back episodes Sunday, March 6th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of crocodiles hatching at a zoo in Peru. They're cute right now, but you know when they grow up, like so many other animals, right? Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.